AP poll, the new AP poll for week 6 just came out. This is our rapid reaction here at Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar, episode 64. I have not seen this AP 25, but these are the things I'm hoping I see. Georgia should not be number 1 any longer. That better not be the case. They better have dropped down. They should drop down in the 3rd spot. It should be Alabama 1, Buckeyes 2, Georgia 3. They better not be number 1. Kansas should be easily in the top 25. I think Washington State should be the team that climbs into that 25th spot. Texas A&M will be out. My beloved Golden Gophers will be out of the top 25. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. But before we continue, there's a couple things. One, I want you to smash the like button if you like this content. Please share the video with your family and friends. And please subscribe to our ever-growing channel if you haven't done so. And another thing I want to say before we start this episode. This episode 64 is in dedication to my Uncle Gene Roney, who just passed away yesterday morning, Saturday morning. The oldest brother to my mother, Maxine Roney. Gene Roney, a husband to Jerry Roney. Father to Mark, Don, Lisa, and Rini. A grandpa to many and a friend to everybody. When I was growing up, Uncle Gene would always say, at special gathering events and holidays, family get-together, Uncle Gene would always say to me, "Hey, superstar, how you doing, superstar? Did you win your game, superstar?" Uncle Gene Roney always had a way of making everybody around him feel special. Uncle Gene Roney, the next time that we all see you again, it will be forever. So this episode is dedicated to Gene Roney. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to it right now. Here is the top 25. But we go to other receiving votes because everything is important. Everything in college football is important here at Peek Around the Corner. Oklahoma gets 2 votes. Ooh, they just got blown out by TCU. 2 losses in the last 2 weeks. They remain in the other receiving votes. Purdue defeated my Minnesota Golden Gophers at Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Purdue gets 2 votes. They deserve that win. Got to tip the cap off to Jeff Brom and the Purdue Boilermakers. Texas A&M, they shouldn't be getting any more votes. That program is in disarray. Jimbo's Fisher offense does not work anymore. Texas A&M 4 votes. North Carolina 5 votes. No defense whatsoever. They at least get 5 votes. Illinois 6 votes. They just wiped out Wisconsin in Wisconsin. I believe they play Iowa this coming week, and the following week they play Minnesota. Illinois, the Fighting Illini are right there in the hunt for the Big Ten West Championship. Somebody has to win it. Somebody has to win it. Why not Illinois? Tulane, 9 votes. Minnesota Golden Gophers, my beloved Gophers, took a big hit. They took a big hit. They were ranked 21st in the country. Now they get 14 votes. We've got issues in Minnesota. If Mo Ibrahim, when he can't play, when there's a nagging injury, the Gophers find no offense without him. Coastal Carolina, 17 votes. Here comes Maryland Terrapins. Big win against Michigan State. The very good-looking loss against Michigan the week prior. Terrapins have a competitive defense on the field now. Maryland's going to upset somebody big. Watch out. Penn State in that game. Maryland's got a chance. Maryland has a chance for a special season. Florida remains 37 votes. James Madison, undefeated James Madison with 39 votes. Arkansas lose to Alabama. 76 votes. That's their second loss of the season. Florida State no longer undefeated. They finally lose. They got 78 votes. The Baylor Bears, the most disappointing team for me in the Big 12. I had them repeating as Big 12 champions. They didn't get it done. They lose again, 88 votes. The Washington State Cougars. Now, I would have them at the 25th spot. Here they're at 26, just outside of the top 25. Washington State with 91 votes. So they got LSU. They have LSU as number 25. Not see, I would have had Washington State here at 25. LSU defeating lowly Auburn 21-17 for me doesn't cut it. Doesn't get LSU to the 25th spot. I would have those two teams switched around. 24, Cincinnati defeated Tulsa, a tough Tulsa team. 31-21. Luke Fickell, man, he's just that Cincinnati program. They continue to be on a roll. Mississippi State, the Pirate Mike Leach defeats Texas A&M 42-24. Mississippi State, they're coming, and Texas A&M is imploding. Syracuse defeats Wagner 59-0. They got a big game against the Wolfpack coming up. Syracuse 5-0. They're number 22. Congratulations to the Orangemen. Washington, number 21. They drop down 6 spots. They lose to UCLA at UCLA 40-32. They were down 40-16 in the fourth quarter. They try to make a big comeback at the end but fall short. Disappointing loss for the Huskies, but they still got a lot to play for. Kansas State moves up another 5 spots. They went from 25-20. Good, impressive win over the Texas Tech Raiders, 37-28. Here comes Adrian Martinez in Kansas State. There it is. There it is. Kansas, 5-0, 19th in the country. They defeated Iowa State 14-11. 14-11, Kansas. Congratulations to the Kansas Jayhawks, to Lance Leipold, the fan base that's been desperately wanting to see these days again where Jayhawks football is relevant in college football. Kansas 5-0. Congratulations to the Jayhawks. This is well deserved. UCLA 18. Congratulations to UCLA. Chip Kelly. Wow, big win at home against Washington Huskies. 5-0 UCLA. Can they challenge USC, Oregon, Utah for the Pac-12 championship this year? They are legit. The Bruins are legit in 2022. TCU. Wow. I had TCU near the bottom of the Big 12 this year. I did not expect their first year head coach at that program, Sykes, to be so successful early on. They whooped up on the Sooners. 55-24. I love their quarterback, Duggan. Man, he is something else. Nice to see him healthy enough to play at this high level. TCU undefeated. And guess who they play next week? TCU 4-0 at Lawrence, Kansas, 5-0. That's going to be ESPN's college game day of the week, Saturday. TCU, Kansas. You got to love college football. You have to love college football. TCU and Kansas, college game day at Kansas. Wow. Fantastic. BYU, 16th spot. They move up 3 spots as they defeated Utah State 38-26. Wake Forest defeats Florida State 31-21. Anytime you have Sam Hartman as your quarterback, you have a shot to win the game. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Big win. Big win on the road for the Wake Forest Deacons. North Carolina State. Oh, boy. They had their chance and they lost. I thought this was going to be Devin Leary's time to shine. But it was Clemson's defense that shined once again. Dabo Swinney has Clemson as the dominant dogs there in the ACC once again in 2022. North Carolina State loses 30-20. They move down 4 spots to number 14. Kentucky moves down 6 spots as they lose a slobber knocker of a game with Ole Miss 22-19. We'll talk about Ole Miss in a second here because they got to be close in the top 10 of the country. Kentucky loses a tough one, 22-19 on the road. Oregon moves up 1 spot. They defeat Stanford 45-27 again. We were looking at Utah, Oregon, UCLA, USC. My goodness, the battle for the Pac-12 championship is on here in 2022. The Utah Utes defeat Oregon State 42-16. That's a big win over Jonathan Smith Beavers there at Oregon State. Was not expecting that type of blowout. But Utah Utes, after losing to Florida in week 1, they are coming on strong. Love that team. I still think they're going to win the Pac-12 championship, but they've got competition from the Ducks, from the Oregon Ducks, from the Trojans, and from the Bruins. Utah, 4-1, 11th in the country. Here comes the top 10. Ooh, Penn State, they move up a spot. Not a very impressive win against Northwestern. There was the rainfall was heavy during that game, so you can give the Nittany Lions somewhat of a pass. Penn State defeats Northwestern 17-7 as they eke into the top 10. Here comes Ole Miss, leapfrogging Penn State, and I can't blame the voters for that as they defeat a very tough Kentucky team 22-19. Lane Kiffin has changed that program from one year to the next. He's going with the talent he has on the field and changing the offense to the talent that he has. He's got two great running backs. He's using them. They got that great offensive line. Big, tough, physical game against Kentucky. I'm very impressed with the job that Lane Kiffin has done here in 2022. Tennessee was idle. They remain number 8. Oklahoma State leapfrogs Tennessee. They're number 7. They defeated the Baylor Bears 36-25. Have to tip your cap to Mike Gundy. Oklahoma State, they're on a roll. They're the 7th team in the country, and they're the favorite to win the Big 12 championship right now here in 2022. USC remains number 6. They defeat Arizona 42-25. Caleb Williams looks like he's got it going. He needed a big game, and he got one. Clemson. Yes, Clemson. I doubted you, Clemson, and I was wrong. I thought North Carolina State was going to win the ACC championship. It doesn't look like it. Clemson defeats North Carolina State 30-20. That defense remains dominant. Even without their defensive coordinator, Brett Venables. Clemson remains 5th in the country. Michigan remains 4th in the country. They defeat Iowa Hawkeyes 27-14. But look at the vote difference between Clemson and Michigan. Michigan in the AP poll is only 3 votes ahead of Clemson. Clemson is closing the gap. And again, can't blame the voters for it because Clemson just defeated a very good Wolfpack team, while Michigan's had a very soft schedule to start the 2022 season. Number 3, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I disagree with this. They got Buckeyes number 3. They defeated Rutgers 49-10. That must mean they have Georgia Bulldogs number 2. They do. Georgia Bulldogs go down one spot. Very weak victory against Missouri 26-22. And that means Alabama Crimson Tide, but Bryce Young got a little bit of a shoulder sprain. We'll see how that injury affects him here in the next couple of weeks. Heisman Trophy winner, quarterback of Alabama, out with an injury. They defeat Arkansas 49-26. Very impressive win against a very impressive Hogs. Alabama has now the number 1 spot, but look at here. Alabama's only 2 votes ahead of Georgia. And Georgia had more first place votes than Alabama. So I don't agree with this at all. Voters have given Georgia too much of a pass for the last 2 weeks. They did not look impressive against Kent State, and they looked horrible against Missouri. And when you're up at the top 3 spots, when you have some down weeks, 2 weeks in a row, you shouldn't remain in the... Georgia should be the 3rd team in the country. I would have Ohio State number 1, but I can understand why Alabama's number 1. But anyways, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, USC, Oklahoma State, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Penn State. I have no problems with those top 10 except for at the very top. I would have Washington State as the 25th team in the country. But other than that, this poll looks good. I pretty much agree with the voters, except for at the very top, I would have Ohio State number 1, Bama 2, Georgia 3, and at the very bottom, I'd have Washington State number 25. Again, leave your comments down in the comment section below the video. Give me what your thoughts are on this top 25. I think they did a pretty good job. It's interesting to me that Clemson is closing the gap on Michigan. Because in my prediction at the beginning of the season, I had Georgia, Alabama, Buckeyes, Wolverines in the college football playoffs. But if Clemson is going to play at this level throughout the whole season and win the ACC championship and go undefeated, don't think 2 SEC and 2 Big Ten teams are going to make it to the playoffs. Someone's going to fall out of that top 4. And Clemson's going to be right there to go into the top 4. So how Clemson is playing, how the schedule looks the rest of the way, Very interesting. Clemson Tigers are surprising me this year. And again, leave your comments down in the comments section below. It was my privilege to dedicate this episode 64 to Uncle Gene Roney, who just passed away yesterday. And again, the next time we see Uncle Gene Roney, it will be forever. But for now, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, until next time, please, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.